This is a webinar case study breakdown. We're going to be talking about how one of our customers saved 200K with AI voice agents. And you know what? I know it's going to sound like marketing just made up those numbers, but I can assure you we did not. And that's why I have Polish here to keep me true and to share details from behind the scenes with all of you. But before we jump into a lot of those details, I'm Kushal. I lead on all things content and brand here at JustCall, and I do love diving into how our customers use JustCall and the value that they're able to derive from it. Fun fact about me, I studied literature and journalism, so I didn't really think I'd end up really loving tech and SaaS as much as I do, and I've been working in SaaS for about 10 years now, so that's been interesting. So that's me. My co-partner today, of course, here is Parush, who's our customer success lead. Parush, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So unlike Kushal, I don't have a differentiating factor here where she studied something and now started to love the tech. I've been into tech all my life, is what I can say, with over about 14 plus years of experience with SaaS purely customer facing roles. Is what I love, I live for, is what I can say, and I think I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of my life as long as I can think at the moment. And yeah, I think the idea today is to give you an introduction of what possibilities this AI voice agents has actually reached with JustCall, and how exactly we are leading into this direction, to just do a quick showcase of what we have accomplished so far and what we will be doing moving forward. This will be just one use case that we're going to talk about today, for a very unique customer problem statement is what we are solving today. But yeah, more to come once we proceed further with it.
Yep, absolutely. Let's head on. Now, just a few quick items on housekeeping. Overall, the session will run for about 45 minutes or so. Yes, we are recording the session and we will send you a recap via email. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and we'll try and take them, towards the end. But if there's some interesting ones, we might just take them, as we go as well. So feel free to drop in your questions in the chat and we'll definitely go through those. So that's, some of those pieces that are important to us. And I think some of you already know that also we have an offer running for all of our attendees here today. So if you're showing up, great. You made the right choice today. You're getting $100 free AI minutes. And those are going to help jumpstart your journey really with AI voice agents overall. And we're also going to be sharing a checklist on how to create your AI voice agent in really 5 simple steps. Honestly, you don't even need 5. And I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up by the end of, towards the end of this demo. But there's also that resource coming your way, right? So I'm going to keep things moving along. Now, really jumping into the meat of things, right? In our conversations with a lot of our customers and our prospects, and we hear this a lot from, our sales calls, from, when we speak with our customer success folks, we read about all of these, comments, for instance, on G2. I go on Reddit, right? And I see a lot of people talking about these things there as well. So some of the challenges that we've really seen a lot of folks who are thinking about AI or AI voice agents deal with are very typical, right? For instance, it could be long wait times for their customers. It could be missed, inbound calls, right? Which happen for a variety of reasons, right? For instance, you can see lower down the slide, for instance, serving multilingual and global audiences. We're all, based in different time zones today. And if you're running a global business and, you don't want your business to run with any barriers, then you truly do want to be able to service, and work with people across, ground lines. And of course, it's also about freeing up your teams from a lot of these repetitive inquiries, because I think human beings tend to blank out after a point also when they're doing a lot of repetitive Q&A sort of with customers and getting those details in. And that's also a great use case for trying to automate some of those tasks so that your humans actually enjoy what they're doing and can do much more higher value work. One of the other things, of course, is also that we're humans, which means that sometimes the experience that we give our customers might not be the most consistent. And of course, there is, equal and more virtue in investing in coaching and training and all of those pieces. But it's also possible to add AI voice agents to the mix, and to really give a more consistent experience across all channels. One of the other challenges that we commonly hear, of course, is, trying to scale services without, adding cost. And this is really true, I think, for a lot of businesses that are either really at that phase where they really want to grow exponentially, right? And they're facing a lot of challenges, whether it's global or otherwise. And AI voice agents are a really good way to sort of meet some of those as well. In the long term, of course, it's really about improving loyalty and lifetime value by giving customers the experience that they signed up for to begin with. Um, as always, I don't think there's no one perfect tech potentially, right, for any of these things. It's really a combination of how we pick the right tech, implement it the right way, and then of course empower our humans more than anything else to work with them. So I think if you are also in the same boat where you're thinking about scale, you're thinking about different geographies, you're thinking about what, I get a lot of calls, which is good. Your marketing team is getting work done, right? You are getting the work done. You're getting customers in the door, but you do need to get on the phone with them. They need to reach you, and that needs to be fast communication with them that's also accurate at all times. If those are the challenges that you're facing, then we're going to be talking a little bit more about how you can solve many of those. Anything, Polish, that you wanted to add there? And I think we also have a poll coming up just around this time.
Right. So you pretty much summarized it really well. That is one of the bigger problem that we have heard from all of our customers, that, what do I really do, or, once my business hours are over? How do I go ahead and manage that particular call volume? Do I, go ahead and hire more resources? Do I hire locally, or do I just outsource all of it? So there's a lot of challenges that the customer faces nowadays. And trust me, with this AI voice agent, this is exactly one of the core problems that we are solving, where you don't have to worry about the language barrier. You don't have to worry about the accents that we're looking at. You don't have to worry about, working in a certain time zone or anything of that sort. And more importantly, you don't have to worry about coaching them as much as you have to coach a actual human, right? So no months long training, no nesting period, nothing doing, right? Use the right set of prompts, and your AI agent is ready to deliver right then and there itself, right? But yeah, let's just hear from the audience that, where do they think, or, where do they resonate with the problem the most? So guys, we'll open this. The poll is open. Would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I can see the responses coming in. It looks like people find it challenging to attend calls outside business hours, right? That's definitely and that's a very fair challenge, right? Because no matter how many people you may have and how amazing they may be, but everyone has normal, usual business hours, right? And if you're running a business that service that helps people 24/7, etc., then support or sales is also expected to manage that, right? So I think that's a very key one. I can see that long wait times and missed calls, frustrating callers is also another challenge, and that's fair. I can't, and I wouldn't want to recall how many conversations I've probably had, either with insurance businesses, or trying to book an appointment, or, booking any sort of domestic service at home, right? And being on the phone and just, having to wait or being transferred. And that's not honestly a good experience, right? And that's not the experience that I think our customers want in this day and age. So yeah, so I think it's interesting to see some of these answers coming in. If you haven't already, folks, do go ahead and let us know what is perhaps one of the biggest challenges that you're facing
Right.
by answering the poll here.
And I think one more thing that I would like to add here, Kushal, is that a lot of times customer tell us that, these calls cost them a lot of money, right? So it's not a random call that anybody is doing. They're paying for getting those calls. And every call that you miss, right, it is a missed opportunity. It is not just the money that you pay to land that cost, but you just don't know. You might be able to convert that one single call into a, multi-thousand or $1 million business. You just don't know, right? And often it is not just related to the outside business hours or over the weekends. What we have also observed and heard from our customers is that during the business hours, when it's the peak time, right, they have calls in queues which are waiting, and there's nobody literally to answer any of them. And when you lose that during the business hours, it is just the most painful thing to look at, right? So we are tapping into all of that areas. We are making sure that not even a single call around the clock gets missed by any or for any of our customers. So that is something which we will be talking about later in the slides. But yeah, that is just I wanted to put across.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate the inputs you're getting here, right? Because you speak to customers on a daily, but it's like 24/7 basis, right? Like that's literally your job. So of course, you've got the goods for all of us on what the challenges are that many folks are facing. Running business is not easy. Getting customers in the door is not easy either, right? So I think it's really painful and expensive. If you end up losing those customers as well. So I think moving ahead, that's really what you were saying, right? That in service-based industries, every call matters. right? It's so important to not miss a single call. And it's not easy. If you're running a team of just humans, it's not easy. Especially, for instance, if we look at the poll, if those calls are, for instance, outside of business hours, then it's even more challenging.
Absolutely. I think, one of the prime examples is what I can say is, when you give a call to your bank and you get to know that they only operate 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, right? This is the most frustrating thing. Unless you have a fraudulent situation, they won't attend your call. But it could be just anything. I mean, that's a very basic example that I'm putting across. But it gets so frustrated just to hear that, please call us tomorrow at 9 a.m. or anything of that sort. That is just the worst thing that I would want to put across, that we don't want to hear this, and that is something that we would love our customers to not worry about, right? So yeah, moving on, maybe we can just quickly jump
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. I'd love to, Polish, if you'd love to take, it'll be great if you'd like to take us through, the case study that we're going to be looking at today.
Absolutely. So I'll just quickly give you a brief about what Just Say Hello is all about, right? Very niche business, very unique request when we were speaking to the customer. And, I'll be not lying if I say that, we were not 100% sure that whether we can deliver or put it throughout the gate or not, right? So they are into very sensitive business is what I would say. So what they typically do is they cater to Afro-American community, right? Where people who have terminal illness, they're facing loneliness during their old ages, right? They have mental health issues, they suffer anxiety and whatnot, all right? They have stress, and they want somebody to be there talking to them, helping them out with their situation, right? And such situation can happen anytime. They are not time bound, right? I can feel anxious right now, and let's imagine if I give a call 10:15, 10:15 p.m. IST, and there's nobody to answer that, it could lead to a really, really bad consequences, right? And what they really wanted us to solve for is that at any given point in time, if somebody is calling their hotline, right, there it needs to be attended. And it does not just be on the lines that we are gathering the information. It should sound very robotic that, hey, you know what, our lines are there, we'll connect you to the human, tell us what we need to do, give us these details. No, they really wanted us to up our game, and they wanted to have that AI bots to have those conversations with the customers, those meaningful conversation rather with the customer, and help them get and tackle that situation better, at least within that moment, right? So much so that we are actually looking at helping them dial 911 in case we see that a customer call or the customer on the other end or caller on the other end is showing some sort of a suicidal tendencies, right? So we are actually tapping into all of those territories. So that's a kind of business that they are into, or that's a kind of management that they were looking at. So when this request came into our team, we were like, okay, this is unique, right? And this is something which is very not just complex, but something very risky zone where we do not want to go wrong, right? But we were like, okay, let's just take up this challenge and make it happen for the customer. And that is exactly what we did. So we worked day in, day out with the product and with the customer to understand the kind of calls they attend, to understand what sort of flow of a conversation they looking forward to understand what sort of you can what sort of kind of like communication skills they are looking at. Do they really want a direct sort of conversation, or do they really want it to be more human like, where we specify the caller on the other end, or we just give them some sort of instructions to follow, to or maybe to meditate for that matter, when if they're feeling anxious, and so on and so forth. So we went ahead and took all of that details from the customer and started to build and refine our AI agent according to that, right? Which is definitely mentioned in these 4 pointers, that it's a mission driven team, right? They're not just solving any regular problem. This is most critical situation callers, or callers in the most critical situation, sorry, who really want help in that moment. And that not late at night at 12, 1 a.m., probably there is nobody on the other side who would be able to help you with this, right? And that is where we come in, and we would help those customers, those callers, to get rid of the situation, or to help manage that situation better, if not 100% get out of it, right? So that is something which we are working, or we have already built out for them, and they are leveraging it, right? And now, moving forward, if we have to talk about that, how they manage to actually uh, work out or work with all those challenges, and what their challenges were and how did we actually help it with the AI voice agents. The first and the foremost thing was that with the kind of calls and the volume that they receive, right, they had a very limited budget, right? They don't want to go all out, right? Having those calls day in, day out can cost them a fortune, right? They can't have resources available through and through, right? Not 24/7. So they were worried that do they need to hire more heads? Should they go from 20 to 40 agents all in one go, or how do they go about doing that, right? And increasing with that number, you know, can incur a lot of issues, right? One, it takes time to hire those resources. That will be the first and the biggest problem that they were working with. Two, those resources are very expensive. It's not something, that you get it for cheap. So you have to be very careful, mindful of your budgets. Three, the training that you have to give it to them. For such queries or for such calls, right? It takes time to master the, you know, uh, I would say conversation style that you can make sure that you don't say something wrong or you don't mess up the call even more, which can lead to a even more worse consequences. Uh, Moving forward, as they said, there were a lot of manual processes that they were following. So basically, how it was working for them is there were three different lines that the customer has to deal with to just speak to an actual nurse or actual human who can help them with the situation. So first line would be, it would just take your basic details that, okay, you're calling from this city, this is what you're dealing with, ABC. Second line will be transferred to the next caller who would take the information about, okay, this is your insurance, these are the listed hospital, this is the nearest hospital, and so on and so forth, right? And third would be, okay, now help us understand that what you're facing, and then accordingly we'll connect you to the right set of person who can help this situation. Now imagine you're already in a distress situation and you have to go through all of this just to speak to a person, right? And this is exactly where we decided that, okay, we will get rid of all these three sections, give them one-stop solution which can cater to all of these needs. And that is exactly what we did. So now if the customer calls in, we'll quickly capture those details and immediately, without having to transfer to any other human to capture A, B, or C detail, we just immediately go ahead and help them with the solution for their situation, or help them, with the conversations that they're really looking forward to have. So that is something which we are doing and we are progressing with, right? So that's something which they're primarily looking to solve for. Right now, they have a different use case which we are also tapping into, which I'll talk about later, which is all the more interesting. And the development phase is already on. So yeah, that is something I wanted to give the audience a quick high-level overview of what the company is dealing with and how exactly we are tapping into it. Right
Yeah.
now,
Polish, let me just jump in there real quick, right? And I know we were discussing this previously. Of course, with the customer themselves, we're working through different use cases, and you folks are developing more for them, of course. But one of the interesting things I think about this one is that it's not just about, this, of course, is a very unique use case in itself, right? And we all can see that. But it's also about, how I think this is really an industry agnostic use case in a lot of ways, because I think for all of our businesses, if you're running any sort of service business, right, where responding to your customers fast and accurately is important to you, and having a record of those conversations as well, if that's the case, then you're facing those similar challenges as well, right? So I think the while this is more healthcare and what we can do for our humans in this case, but you can really use see a similar scenario in your business as well if you're in the business of dealing with human beings, which is most of us, right? So I think it's interesting to see how this is going to pan out for different industries. And I'd love to hear actually from the audience as well, right? Which industry do you work in, right? Like, are you in healthcare? Are you in IT? If you could maybe just pop that into the chat, that'll be interesting for me to know. I'll also be doing a demo, like I said, of our AI voice agent later in this webinar. So if you tell me your industry, maybe we can customize it to that, or at least I can show you around while we're doing that. Great. I can see healthcare and I can see real estate as well. Folks, feel free to pop in your industries too. Moving ahead, I think, Polish, we, of course, you did a great job of talking through some of the challenges. It'd be great to see, how the customer actually managed to, or is, in the process of solving some of those challenges too.
sure. So I'll start off with, hiring and scaling and then talking about the budgets of it, right? So often what we don't realize, when we have this argument about human versus AI, right, that there is a fixed cost. There is a lot of cost that is involved when we talk about actually placing, a human resource. So starting from the point where you would start publishing the advertisement to hire a new folk, right? Or you would pay to the consultancies to get the right set of, heads to your organization. That'll be one. Second, obviously the salary and the pay scales. You have to be very mindful. The higher the experience, the higher the pay scale be. Third cost that we never realize, and this is something which is an eye opener to a lot of our customers, is there is a fixed cost that we always talk about. Whenever somebody joins your organization, right, we have to give them a laptop. That's the most basic thing that you have to do, right? That laptop costs you about $1,000 nowadays, right? You have to give them a desk where they can sit. You have to give them electricity. You have to give them, all those medical benefits. You have to give them pantry services and whatnot. Also, when you bake in all of this, so maybe somebody, if you're hiring them for, let's say, 100K, as a compensation to the versus salary, these added costs would actually lead to that particular cost from 100K to, let's say, 120, 130K on an annual basis, which we don't realize, right? So what we are doing here for not just this particular customer, but for all of our customers, is that we are eliminating all of it. We are eliminating the cost that you have to incur while you place a human being. And the idea is not to replace the human beings, but the idea is to help them be or do better. Wherever you feel that human cannot be, or a human is not available, that is where the AI would come in and take over and help the callers, to take or have a conversation which they expect, in that particular moment, so to say, right? uh, so yeah, as we have highlighted over here, so limited budgets and hiring and scaling, so for very particularly Just Say Hello, they always had this thing, because they are managing distress line. It is very important for them that they have to be mindful of the budgets, right? They are not somebody who get $1 million or $1 billion valuation, or venture capitalists backing them up, right, so much so that they can just splurge money. So they have to be very mindful of the cost of hiring and scaling, to begin with. Then their other problem that they were talking about is that it takes weeks and months for them to train somebody that they onboard, right? And even after that, they're not 100% sure, what the output would be. In the best case scenario, yes, it'll be a 10 on 10, but you still need that hand holding for another month or two, to make sure that there is a SME on the call with them, or there is somebody who's barging the call, or a manager who's barging the call through and through, to make sure that the call is going into the right direction. So that was another problem that they had. Now, the dependency and the inefficiency that they were facing between the manual processes. So remember, we talked about call one, you have to give your basic details, the state, city, and all of that. Then you have to talk about your medical insurance detail, and then so on and so forth. So during this process, they realize that a lot of time what is happening is that the caller A is feeding the information in CRM versus what a caller B is feeding into a CRM. There is a mismatch, right? And as humans, we are tend to make those mistakes. It could be a typo error. It could just be, that you were slightly careless about, feeding in that detail, or you just end up missing out on it, right? So it created a lot of issues at their end, which they really could not afford. Or with such service industry that they are, it is literally a error margin game for them, right? So they never wanted to get into that situation to begin with. And again, the other thing that they wanted to also make sure that when somebody gets on a call, it is very much balanced, right? It should not be something which starts to sound like a monologue to a customer or the caller, right? That, okay, what really is happening, or am I just not listening and not feeding in the right information, or or I'm just listening and not telling you what needs to be done and how things needs to be done. So that is something which they were very much concerned about. And the last and the most important aspect for them was the diversity of the callers that they deal with, right? So it is not just a particular type of a caller who would call, and there were so many callers from different region territories speaking different languages, right? And their concern was that, okay, if somebody speaks Spanish and we only have two callers or two agents who can speak Spanish, then that means they have to wait, if you have 10 calls in a queue for them, right? So that is something which was costing them a lot of missed opportunities. And more so, they were not even aware of, what the repercussions were for missing out on those calls. So they just didn't want to run into that situation. And that is exactly where we tapped into each one of it one by one and made sure that we educate them on how we are solving this particular problem, and also fix it for them so that they can see the results. And that is exactly where the 200K number comes into the place. So starting from limited budget of hiring and scaling the remote first, right? So when we talk about the AI agent with JustCall, we are essentially talking about multiple AI agents in one go. So how we look at it, or how we do it as a business, is that you create one AI agent, right? And it can handle multiple concurrent calls all in one go. So you don't really have to go ahead and create 10 different AI agents to manage 10 different calls. You create one, and it can manage hundreds of calls all in one go. So that's something which really was an impressive thing for them, and they were like, okay, they were not aware that this can be done, right? So something that we immediately wanted to solve for them, right? That, okay, you have a budget, don't worry about it, you don't have to hire like 20, 30, 40 folks right away. One AI agent can manage all these 40 things, right? One AI agent can help you with any and every sort of query, right? We can give you agents who can speak multi lingos, right? We can give you agents who can give talk in different accents. So all of it's something that we can do just by one single agent, right? So something that they were very impressed with. Now, when we talk about months and months of training, Kushal, here, it's funny, right? As I said, you just need to have the right prompt added, right? When you create that AI voice agent, and trust me, in less than 5 minutes, your agent is ready to talk like a human. And I'm not even making it up. It is no more robotic with us. We have done so much development and advancements in this, that it is almost impossible for you to tell whether it's a human speaking or an AI voice agent. So you can now tweak the voice. You can now decide whether you want a background noise, to make it sound more, I would say,
Okay.
authentic,
Um,
right? Or make it sound like that, okay, somebody, I have actually dialed into a call center and not something which is, you know, a random silent room. And yes, Sean, we will definitely, do a demo of that as well. We have that covered. And
Yeah, and fun thing actually, Sean, to your point. So I actually went on the website for Just Say Hello, right? When we first got to know about this use case in the company, and I dialed the number, and it was honestly a really good experience. I really felt heard. I was not rushed, and it was a very, very simple conversation, right? So even you can go to justsayhello.com and try out that experience as well. And of course, I will give you a demo as well, and you can see, hear the experience for yourself. You'll see how easy it is to set it up, how to make the most when you're setting it up, and also what the ultimate experience feels like as well. Polish, before we go ahead, right, just curious. There are obviously a lot of different layers to be peeled whenever you're talking to customers, right? Because sometimes they might talk about one problem, but when you actually start to unpack it, there are a lot of different things that also might come out. What was maybe one of the, most, the biggest concern potentially that Just Say Hello had when they first started working with us? What was that?
See, so the idea was that they were unsure, in which direction the call would go, because you really can't predict in such scenarios, right? And that is exactly where we wanted to make sure that we cover all the bases. So what we also helped them with is that we did the analysis of all their previous calls to understand that how the call flow really goes from point A to point B to point C, and accordingly we feeded that information to our AI voice agent. And trust me, it is just an Excel upload that you really have to do with the transcript, and it would just go through and understand all of it in one go, right? So that is something which we started off with. And then further, what we also do is we ask our customers to provide us the material that they really want AI agent to learn from. So yes, there is one aspect of it where you would add the prompts on how the agent should be with respect to the behavioral aspect of it, how the conversation style should be. Should it be taking pauses? Should it be rushed conversation, and so on and so forth? And then there is one aspect of it which is where it should capture the information from. So what we have done here is we ask our customers to just give us the URL where all or the entire information is available, which can be used for reference points, so that AI agent can understand that, what I need to look at and how I need to move forward with the conversation. And how we also move forward is that every single call that the AI agent is taking, it is coaching itself, or with basis that particular call. So on one call, let's just say if you ask 10 questions and AI agents answer all of that, the next call, if you ask the same set of questions, it will be a refined version of the answers that you would get. And this is a continuous process that we work with. So for them as well, as I said, there was a lot of transcript analysis that happened, that went into the AI agent. We also asked them to give us all the possible material that we should refer to, because the scope of it is huge, humongous rather. And we also told them that we would go ahead and keep evaluating your calls every now and then to understand and to make sure that everything is going in the right direction for them. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely, Parish. And I think, I can see a few folks saying, can you provide a live demo? And George, of course, says, I'm sold on the dollar, it can be saved. So I'm thinking, what, we do have a few slides, but why don't we jump in first to the demo? Let's put me to the test. Let's set
Absolutely.
up the AI voice agent so everyone can see it, and then we can jump back in, to everything else we wanted to share with the audience here. So let's do that.
Absolutely.
Nidhi,
Absolutely.
I think we also had, a poll for folks who are ready to start with their AI voice agent experience. So if you want to run that poll for us, where folks can let us know, if it's a yes, if they're already using, an AI voice agent, etc. So feel free to run that poll in the meantime as well. And I am going to start a demo.
Right. So just for the
Yeah.
audience to know, this is not something that we have prepared in advance. Kushal
Yeah.
is just going to go ahead and create a bot, and I'm telling you, the fun fact about this is that you can just do it by putting a prompt, nothing more, just a basic prompt, and that's about it. So if Kushal, you can start to share your screen, we can
Yes,
actually show the audience
absolutely.
how quick it is.
Yep. Now let me know, Parush and other folks, if you're able to see my screen.
I can see it. uh, Yes, I think we got a thumbs up from Sean.
Oh,
Web.
awesome. Cool. So, folks, just follow along. If you need me to stop somewhere, if you want me to repeat something, if you need me to stay on a slide, happy to do that. But this is literally me being tested on and showing you folks how easy it is to actually set up an AI voice agent, right? And in my case, I thought a little bit about, I think folks told us they were from real estate, healthcare, and, talking to distressed business owners as well. So clearly there are a lot of service businesses here that we're talking to today. So I thought a little bit about, the prompt that we could add in here. Now, as soon as you enter JustCall, all you need to do is head into AI voice agent. It's really easy, honestly, and you'll see how, it really works to set up an AI voice agent. You can choose to create an AI voice agent in three really simple ways. You can build with AI, and it literally builds everything for you, which is what I'll show you now. You can start from scratch, which is great if you have, very exact requirements on what you want to do and you really want to build things piece by piece. You can choose that option, or you can select a template. There are a lot of templates already by industry, which is great. You can just get started, plug those in. But today I'm going to show you how easy it is to just build with AI. All you need to do here is, you can even dictate what your use case is. Everyone likes talking and not so much typing, perhaps, right? And it's just a faster way to get started. I'm going to be typing in today because I write. So I'm going to be typing in today what I want the agent to do. And I had a little bit time to think about it. So I'm going to say, you are Jane, an assistant for a business services company, helping with client inquiries and lead qualification, which is a super, super common use case and one that can really help your business. You handle service requests, schedule consultations, collect project requirements, and do all of those things for our BD team. Now, be thorough while sounding friendly and courteous, right? So it can be as simple as you want it to be. If you want to add more details, feel free to add those, right? And all I really need to do is go ahead, click on this button. It'll do its magic, and then it'll take us through the steps so that we can verify everything. That's an important step as well. Whenever we're working with technology of any type, of course, we all know this. It's important just with humans, right? It's important to step in and make sure that everything's working the way that we want it to be set up and that everything's looking good. So this is the AI voice agent sort of doing its magic. in the back, and we'll be able to see a response fairly soon. Here we are. It's already picked up Jane, for instance, which I said I already prompted. We wanted to, have that person be named. This is giving you, options to personalize the agent, right? That's step number one. Now, all of this is pre-filled for you, but it's always good to take a moment. And these are all business critical workflows, right? So it's good to take a moment really and just look at what you've entered and what the AI has created for you. So they've already added an agent role, which really describes what the agent is supposed to do. It's also added personality, right? So being thorough, being friendly and courteous, clear and professional language. And this is again completely editable, right? Like you can change whatever you need to here, and that's saved instantly. It has already added conversation style guidelines, whether it's about being engaging, informative, focus on one topic. So you can, choose all of these. And honestly, the product team works fairly fast. So by the time you actually get your hands on this, I'm sure they will have added more details and more depth and more ease to how the experience works, right? But you've already got so many details here. You just need to go through these conversation style guidelines. Provide any business context. If you've already included some in your prompt, it'll already, input those here, and you'll feel free to, change whatever you need to. And you have samples to sort of make it easy for you to understand. You can also select the agent voice, right? Which means that, for instance, let's say you're based in the UK, right? And you want to pick a voice, that works for them. You can just add that voice, right? You can always choose from so many other voices
Right.
here.
And
With the
I
team
want
here.
to chime in here and just want to show you one interesting section which we recently built, which is a create a custom voice. So what we have recently done here is, and this is for all the audience, you can actually clone your voice for the AI voice agent. So it is no more that you have to select from a preloaded, choices that we have given, or you can import one from 11 Labs, right? So we have done that, and it is, we tested it as well, and it is actually 97% to 98% exactly the cloning that you would expect it to be. So it's something that I just wanted to mention over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is something that our customers have also asked for as well, right? Because it just helps them gain much more confidence and giving their customers the experience, the personalized experience that they really want to. So we've sort of looked at all the steps on this one. We just click next. Now it's about adding an agent script. An agent script is simply when someone dials in, and these are all inbound calls, right? So as soon as someone dials in, what do we want our agent to be doing, right? So reason for calling, thanks for sharing. Could you tell us a little more bit about yourself? And you can change all of these details. Could you please provide more details about your project requirements? So this is a complete script flow, right? It's a step-by-step of someone calls. This is what you say, and these are the steps you go through. You can very easily delete the steps that do not work for you, and simply click on next again, which takes us to something called the knowledge base. Now, this is an important part of AI voice agent creation overall. This is really the universe, and the intelligence that your AI voice agent is going to base itself upon. There are very easy ways again to add it here. For instance, in this case, it's already added, some context and some knowledge based on what I prompted already. But if you want, you can add a web page, right? Which is literally a source that you want to add. You can click and add that. You can add plain text, so you can copy paste and add that here. If you're a much more, sorted, organized person in business overall, and you have a team to do this, you could also sort of upload Q&A files. For instance, you can do them together, right? So it doesn't even need to be manual here. So this is really catered to whatever stage of business and growth you're at. And you can just add, a knowledge base here, and it also gets updated, right? So when you update something here, I think there's a fairly short turnaround time, and everything gets updated on your AI voice agent as well. You do not need to do that updation manually. So I'm going to click through here, and I'm going to say next. Now, interestingly, we've got actions in our AI voice agents as well, right? And what do actions really mean? It means a step of things that AI voice agents can actually do. So it's not only about conversations, taking calls, doing those things, but actual things that they can do, to sort of make the process much simpler for both your customer, but also for your team and for your business when you actually want to, come back and look at what the customer wanted. So there are a number of actions that you can do during the call. You can also do actions, after the call, right? And, feel free to set this up as you need this to be. I need to move this out of the way. So let's say, for instance, after the call, I want to add an action, right? I want to send an SMS. That could be a scenario that we do here. If, that setting is enabled for you. Sorry, just give me one sec. Yeah, it's toggling a bit between screens for me. If you could just, folks could just give me a minute. Yeah, there's just a large overlay from Demio, which I have now successfully minimized. So I think we're back in business. So you can add that step here as well, right? And all of this is, as you can see, simple and very easy to configure. Simply click on next here and we're pretty much at the end. Like that's it. You just need to assign, a phone number. I'm going to add this one. I'm going to assign, finish setup. Oh, and I'll go back and show you all of the advanced settings here as well. I think Polish wanted to dive into a few things that he's seen has been really successful with customers, but I know people wanted to see how it works. So are we ready to see, the AI voice agent in action? Give me a yes, maybe in the chat. Okay, cool. I'm going to jump in and show you how this works. So let's test the AI voice agent, right? And we're just going to say hello to Jane.
Hello. Thank you for calling. I am Jane. How are you doing?
Hi, Jane. This is Kushal. How are you?
Hi, Kushal. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm just collecting a few quick details before we move forward. Could you please provide me with your full name?
Sure. It's kiki@abc.com.
Thank you, Kushal. Just to confirm, your email is kiki@abc.com, correct?
Yes.
If that's accurate, could you also share your full name for our records?
Absolutely. It's Kushal.
Thank you, Kushal. Could you tell me a bit more about yourself? This will help me assist you better.
Of course. But you know what? Maybe you could just book an
Sure,
appointment for me with someone on your team. That would be great. I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Got it, Kushal. When would you like to schedule your consultation? Also, could you let me know your location or time zone so I can ensure the timing works perfectly for you?
Sure. I'm based in IST. As you can see, I'm working over hours. I should send a bill to my employer at some point. But no, just joking. I'm based in IST in India. A call anytime next week would be great. Anytime between 10 a.m. IST to say about 2 p.m. IST is fine.
Thanks for sharing, Kushal. I'll schedule your consultation for next week between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. IST. Let me confirm. Would you prefer a specific day, or should I pick the earliest available slot within that time frame?
Earliest available is fine. And maybe just send me an SMS as follow-up.
Understood, Kushal. I'll schedule the earliest available slot next week between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. IST and send you an SMS with the details as a follow-up. Let me take care of that for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Kushal. I'll get everything sorted for you.
Just
have a great day.
Thing, Sorry, just one last thing. While we're here, I'm a marketer. It's late for me. Could you give me a nice marketing joke to end this with?
Of course, Kushal. Here's one for you. Why did the marketer go to therapy? Because they had too many conversion issues. Hope that gave you a chuckle. Have a great rest of your day and good luck with those late hours.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Jane. Thank you so much. That was not too bad, right? The conversation or the joke, I mean. Let me go back and see if I'm the right screen or not. Okay, I think I'm going to stop sharing screen, but that was really the experience, and how simple it is really to set up an AI voice agent. Happy to get any questions from you folks in the audience before we can maybe look at some other pieces.
Right. While we're waiting for the questions, I do want to add that, all of these conversations, because this was just a dummy that we did, right? So you can actually make them more customized basis your business needs, basis the, type that you really look forward to. So something that you can always work with. We just want to do a quick demo today. But yeah, if you spend like good 5-10 minutes on it, trust me, you would see tremendous results over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Polish, you wanted to take us through, some of the impact that we've, already seen with Just Say Hello and some feedback from the customer as well. And, we can see that on the slide here. It's really helped, the CEO there, and this is a testimonial from him talking about, cutting a significant amount of time in day-to-day activities. And, we're truly happy to see how we could partner up with such a mission-led business and help them grow, without having to worry too much about scaling right now. And I can see some questions also as well. So I think we can sort of take those up as well. George says, What about having it call out to leads that fill out forms after hours or even during hours for that matter, based on certain parameters in our CRM? I think George is referring really to the outbound AI experience because it's calling out leads that fill out forms or during hours. Yeah, you know, I think the simple answer for that is that, we're currently working on our outbound sort of experience as well. And I think you can expect that fairly soon. So we should be able to enable that. There's also a world in which this works seamlessly, right? You can have a customer call in, just leave, send us a call, leave us information, and we'll call you back, right? So even that works out perfectly, and I think our tool will let you do that fairly soon. It's not
Yeah.
right there right now, but fairly soon.
Absolutely. And if you talk about the inbound situation, George, so we already have integration with the CRMs. So whatever call is happening or whatever details we are capturing on the call will automatically be filled into your CRM as a new call, as it should be. So that is something which is already in place. But yes, as Kushal mentioned, if it's very specifically about the outbound one, soon enough you'll have that in place as well.
Okay, awesome. Just taking a look ahead, we're really talking about the results that are speaking for themselves, right? I know we heard for ourselves, and that was a real experience that all of us had. But even if you look at, just the sheer numbers, right? And ultimately, businesses are based on making sound and solid business decisions, right? But we can see that they've already saved 200K, in their first year based on how much additional headcount they would have needed to they would have had to add, and that was sort of not required then. They didn't have to ask their humans to stretch, right? And that's a win on both sides of the table is what I believe. And there's just so much future growth potential. Polish, if you want to touch on that
Absolutely.
as well.
So just to give you an idea, we all have seen America's Got Talent, Britain Got Talent, India's Got Talent, right? So some insider information. Just Say Hello is planning to launch a Seniors Got Talent sort of a platform where they'll be inviting all these senior citizens to take participation, register, and take it from there on. And they are going all out with this one. So they will be expecting thousands of calls coming in, and the idea is all of those calls will be handled by our AI voice agent. So very, very soon we will be launching it for them. We are already in the beta phase and the testing phase with them. So that is something which we are already working with. Second of all, as I said, in the very beginning of the call, that we are also working with them to make sure, that if on a call we see a sign where, some sort of a suicidal tendency is there, or a caller is showing some sort of distress which we really need to, or which should be raised right then and there. So AI voice agent would immediately call 911, give them the entire brief. So it will be a verbal brief that will be given to them, so that 911 can immediately go ahead, act onto it, and take care of as of the situation as soon as it's possible. So the potential that we are looking at with them is huge. It's humongous, and I have to give it to them because they are also pushing us to go beyond our limits. We never thought when we started off with this that this is something that this is the territory that we will be tapping upon, but they have literally made us go and touch that territory. And now I think we are doing really, really well. So thanks to them, thanks to our product team here, who have been working day in day out to make sure that they put this out the door right and soon enough.
Yeah, and I think Sean brings up an important point as well, right? Where he says, not bad to what you just shared, Parush. What would AI do in a strategic thinking situation? That was pretty high level, right? And I think when we're dealing with humans, there are always going to be those scenarios where the bots might get confused. Might. And I say might simply because I think it also goes back to how well we've set up the AI voice agents and what we've trained them to do. And honestly, this is what I hear, and it makes sense to me even as a marketer, is that it really depends on how well you're training your staff, whether it's human or AI, right? So if you consider AI to be a part of your team, you need to spend a little bit of time on training them, right? The beauty with AI, of course, is that it'll completely understand your context, develop a mind of its own, just as humans will, but it'll also scale it beautifully, right? But you need to spend some time to make sure it's got the context right. And it's, very easy, again, wherever you feel like, if a certain word is mentioned, if a certain query is raised, in any of those scenarios, you can also ask the AI voice agent to transfer the call, with all of the context, which is also known as warm transfers, and to do that and send them back to, a human on your team, right? So there's a lot
Absolutely.
of fail, safes also in place for these scenarios.
Absolutely, Kushal, you pretty much tapped on the right thing. And Sean, in such scenarios, because we do understand that it can be tricky, so you can actually fill in those prompts that, you know what, if you don't have an answer, advise them that you're going to transfer the call, or they can expect a call back in so and so time, or anything of that. So we have all those guardrails and checks in points. But again, it requires some bit of coaching and overlooking is what I would say. But as we said, we are already doing it. This is something that most of our customers are also working with. So yeah, it is pretty much possible to make sure that, you know, we don't fall into a situation where for situation A we completely give a situation B answer.
Absolutely. And I think I've got some interesting questions as well in the chat. Yes, Sean, prompting is definitely an important part of it because that's how we interact and how we train our team, right? Whether it's human or AI, of course, in this case. Can we embed the click to call button? Yes, absolutely, we can. We'll be sharing more information on how you can set up, how you can really get started with any of this. And that'll include, once you reply to it, we can get you in touch with an expert and take you through all of that, but that's fairly easy as well. And you can see, of course, the response from one of our moderators on, the MCP server. That's a sneak peek. That's also going to be coming up, and that means, you can connect your voice agent to any MCP and then, do a variety of things and actions really with the data and, with all of the possibilities there. I think there's also an interesting question, which is, can JustCall AI, can it book appointments based on patient-specific needs into our medical application scheduler? How would it integrate with the medical EMR application? Does it require an API or is there another way? I think that's a very specific question for the moderators. I think if you're able to answer that question here, great. If not, Sean, just let us know, reply, to one of our polls or one of, when we reach out to you on email as well. And then we can definitely, sort that out for you as well.
Right. And while we're waiting for it, I guess Rahul has also put in a question. Can I book implementation call to get this going for my real estate business? Yes, sure, Rahul, you totally can. We would go ahead and, take care of everything on that particular call. And we'll make sure, that anything and everything that you need is something that we cover.
Awesome. I think we're almost at the end of our session, folks. We've got a couple of minutes to spare, which is always a good thing, considering how busy our lives are. All of those techniques of bake in a few hours, bake in a couple of minutes at the end of every call so that you have a little time to regroup before you get into the next part of your day, right? Thank you all for joining us. This is going to be a wrap for this session. I really appreciate you folks taking out the time and energy and really thinking about your business. And seeing, what we've done and worked on with Just Say Hello, and seeing how you can also work on it for your business. So thank you so much. Now do keep out an eye on, your inbox, because we're going to be also sharing details, including this recording, next steps for you to book a demo with us, and also more information about your $100 free AI minutes. So that's the offer that we have for all of you folks, especially for everyone on this call. So do take advantage of that. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, folks. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Thanks, Parish. It was great.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye-bye.